let's start finally. Hello to everyone attending and to all of you who are online. We will go through, let's say, some brief introduction of TPV ceilings. Then on the second, let's say, presentation, we will go through some kind of communication, how to approach your clients, which are, let's say, designers, installers, investors in the end. We will go through an example of, let's say, an inquiry, how to receive the drawing, what to ask from the designer, from the installer, and how to approach to the project, let's say, when communicated to our kitchen department. And in the end, we will go through a few examples of, let's say, our design possibilities of the ceiling and of installed, let's say, examples, so what's possible. And after the lunch, I would like to share with you also some more, let's say, practical things. So we will open few drawings of the projects. We will speak about the issues which were, let's say, present on the individual project. And after all of that, I will send you an example of a small kitchen where we received a ceiling inquiry. So you will be able to make a calculation and, let's say, prepare the communication for our kitchen department, so we can comment on that, which parts, let's say, are important or missing, or let's say just some tips and tricks talk. So as for the introduction, we will go through basic, let's say, design principles of the ceiling and some examples if it's worthy or not of the investment. So let's start. And of course, in case of any questions, just ask, stop me, because this will be taken more as a practical training than just the presentations. So why would you recommend a TPV ceiling for your customer? Why do you think it's let's say, a good solution compared to the hoods, if it's, let's say, more expensive? Any idea? Sorry? Better insulation. Okay, that's true. Why not? I mean,
more flexible solution. When they want to change the analysis or something like that.
Yeah, that's true. So let's say modular placement of appliances, that's correct. Yeah, but you have to take it into consideration when, let's say, proposing a solution. So if you don't take it into consideration, let's say the design of a TPV can be separated in terms of the airflow amount. So I don't know, in one part of the ceiling you will have, let's say, prepared more airflow than in the other, which would be, I don't know, for dishwashing or for convection ovens than for the kitchen center. So you will just need to highlight that when speaking to the customer and to our, let's say, kitchen department. So yeah, let's say some of the points, it's a closed system, so you know that everything is airtight, and basically all the room above the ceiling doesn't have to be prepared. So the customer needs to prepare only, let's say, tiling until the height of the ceiling installation. Everything above can be raw material construction. So there is no, let's say, danger of grease going up or any humidity, because everything is extracted through a TPV. Efficiency, of course, compared to the hoods, it's gonna be better because hood is, let's say, localized, and the TPV, if some of the V ducts above the kitchen center doesn't, let's say, collect the grease and the steam, it will just be transferred to the second part of the ceiling and everything will be extracted. The design will be much better than the hoods itself. You will not have to think about the LED lighting of the room, or I don't know, some Armstrong or plasterboard ceilings. You will have everything in one pack. Working environment, you can also mention that when speaking to the customers, because It's proven that, let's say, light intensity plays a large role in working, let's say, environment for the people. So if the lights are dim, the people will get sleepy, and if the lights have enough intensity, the people will work for the whole day without any problem. Just they will have to have breaks, of course. Tailored design, so basically it can fit in any room regardless of the room geometry. It's like a puzzle, so every corner will have its own solution. It will just be, let's say, maybe an issue for the straight lines of the extraction ducts. There will be more, let's say, room for, I don't know, let's say in the corner, which is not right angle, there will have to be some kind of custom made, let's say, polycarbonate or aluminum or stainless steel sheet. There will not be extraction duct. Full package, so it's, let's say, a suspended ceiling. It's designed on its own, so that's also advantage. And long-term savings, if you compare it especially with the hoods, you know that mostly when a customer is having a hood, they will have just the extraction fan and maybe some supply fan. And from experience, it's always on full speed. But let's say with the ceiling, you can have the operation at lower levels for the whole day, and it will work well. Do you have any other, let's say, ideas for advantages of TPV? This is, let's say, the basic of basics.
In my experience, usually the customers are looking for such a solution when they don't have enough space
for the installation. Yeah, but then again, you when there is no room for hoods and for the ducting, you just have to take into consideration that, let's say, a ceiling is 45 centimeters approximately for the full construction, and then you will need some more space for the ducting. I mean, in special cases, you have connections from sides from the other rooms, if that's possible. So I will mention it later. We have a project in Montenegro where I believe the concrete ceiling is on 2.7 meters, and the lower edge of our TPV is on 2.15. So again, you have polycarbonate on 2.35. It's, let's say, appropriate for works, but it wasn't possible for the hoods to be installed, even with the side connections. I mean, the ducts would be too big. So some of the project types would be hotels, definitely. If you have some contacts in let's say, some hotels, resorts, or the groupation of hotels, you can mention it. You can send them a flyer or anything. They might be interested because mostly hotels have money and they will want to reconstruct their kitchens, let's say, more frequently than some object which is like a school, let's say. So they will invest in it and keep it for 20 years, but hotels are more frequent with the reconstructions. So basically restaurants which are correlated to hotels, it's also let's say, nice opportunity to sell a ceiling. Schools, let's say, in lower frequency, but again, if there is some fancy new school to be installed, I mean to be built, there is a high possibility that they would like the solution with the ceiling. Some process kitchens, let's say, some smaller frying, how to say it, processes, which are not like machines of, I don't know, 50 meters in length, but something smaller like this on the photo, which is for donut production. It could be also, let's say, somehow covered with the ceiling instead of the hood. Some industry, let's say, example, which would be a large kitchen in Skoda factory, which is a huge ceiling. So something like that could also be a possibility for a ceiling to avoid, let's say, a pack of hoods installed. and of course other uses. So basically anything for decorative purposes or for some passive areas of the objects, or even lobbies, hallways. It can be implemented also with the ceiling. So is it worth the investment? We all know that the price of a ceiling per square meter is higher than the hoods, of course. Compared to other competitors, it depends on your market, but I believe we are on a good price, especially with the standard TPV ceiling. So compared to hoods, I believe you are all aware of that, that when designing a ceiling, in the end, you will receive most likely a lower airflow of the total room. And you can also, let's say, you don't have to take into consideration some parts of the kitchen, which would have to be passively, let's say, extracted without the hoods. So I don't know, you have some preparation room. There you can only put supply, let's say, duct and passive area with the lighting if the room is open, or if there are some air grills on the doors. Lower airflow, of course, there is a mark because it will depend on the ceiling height. If you have a ceiling on, I don't know, 2.5 meters, then you are okay. If you have it lower, the airflow will increase because there is not enough room, let's say, for air to spread. So there is more need for higher airflow to catch everything, not to have people bathing in steam. And in case of higher height of the ceiling, of course, then you will need higher airflow to make, let's say, something opposite of the first mentioned, because there is a lot more for the steam and grease to travel. The ceilings are less reactive, let's say, to airflow peaks. So if you have a hood, it will most likely need more airflow to catch everything which is suddenly, let's say, produced in terms of steam. But with the ceiling, the steam will spread on the second extract in line. As for design, you all know that it's good looking, so the customers might like that, even though it's more expensive. Environment and climate conditions, we mentioned the lights also, but in the end, if the system is working properly, you can expect that the climate conditions will be perfect. So if you have enough supply air with enough, let's say, cooling capacity in the kitchen, then people can expect 22, 24 degrees for the whole day during summer. Less manipulation, so it's a turnkey solution. So basically there is no need to think about getting the hood into some part of the building, because this will be made as a puzzle. So basically if the kitchen is in the basement or on some area of the building which is hard to be accessed, approached, then this is also an advantage in terms of installation, because you can take all the small parts and install them piece by piece. And no need for additional installation. So this is in terms of lights and, let's say, some ceiling covers, because everything is covered by a TPV. So another, let's say, investment advantage is that we are providing a turnkey solution for the whole, let's say, kitchen area. There is no need to overlap with another installer or another, let's say, you know what I mean. So it's a full package. And it's a tailored solution, so we can cover the whole room, as we already mentioned, regardless of its geometry. And compared, let's say, it's a closed system, you will see in the following slide the most popular photos of comparison between closed and open systems. So basically the whole area above the ceiling doesn't have to be prepared or, let's say, treated with some kind of grease protection, or it can be basically raw material. As for hygienic reasons, that's the same part. So basically there is no danger of producing of any actually mold building above the ceiling area. So it will just remain dry without any humidity or grease. And the maintenance compared to the open system is, let's say, more simple, because you just need to clean the parts which are visible, the filters, let's say, at the most, but the upper part of the ceiling, no one will take a look at that, so there is no need to clean it, maybe just to dust it off, and that's it. And as for manipulation, it's, let's say, correlated to this maintenance. It's a lot easier to, let's say, dismantle only those revisions, the polycarbonate sheets, than to dismantle the whole ceiling, which is, compared to the open system, you have to basically put down the whole ceiling and clean all the elements and clean also the part above the ceiling. So those are the two photos which are, let's say, popular. You can also show it to the customers, because as you can see on the upper photo, it's a closed system. There is no danger of any mold producing, but on the photo below, you see that there is a steam, and you can even see on the wall behind this duct that it's starting to form. And probably you saw these photos, but the first and the second are after 1 year of operation. And also, I don't know if you knew, but the standard solution for a TPV is that some of the supply air will be blown into this upper part, so it's constantly in some small, let's say, overpressure regime, just to avoid any, let's say, leakage possible in case of the rubber sealant getting broken, so it will constantly be in overpressure. So it's a tailored solution, as we mentioned. You can basically integrate other installations. It's only important to know them in the right time. So in the design stage, you will have to ask your designer if there is plan for any sensors installation, for cameras, or additional lights, spotlights, for any fire suppression system like ANSUL or standard sprinkler, or for some UVC filtration, or basically anything similar which can be implemented into the ceiling. Because in that case, our kitchen department can prepare additional, let's say, load bearing profiles which can withstand the weight of a camera, instead of the standard solution, which is meant only to take the load of the polycarbonate sheets, let's say. It's adaptive construction, so it will implement into any room geometry or any room purpose, let's say. So if it's a process kitchen, I don't know, we had an example with the frying, let's say, with the preparation for those frozen groceries. So, you know, you can buy already frozen and prepared chicken nuggets or something like that, you know, or even the vegetables. They all have to be somehow prepared, so pre-cooked, and then they are frozen. So for this preparation, let's say, room, we proposed TPV ceiling, but the ceiling had to be on at least 3 meters of height because of all of those appliances, which are quite big. I mean, compared to a standard, let's say, boiling pot in a kitchen of, I don't know, maximum 20-25 kilowatts, these are around 100 kilowatts. So these are like big inox packs. And as for another additional architecture details, basically the ceiling can be somehow custom made regarding the ceiling color. So the sheets, as for aluminum, can be painted in a different color and not the standard RAL. And I don't know, there can be some additional profiles which could be used for some decorative lamps. Why not? So the 3 TPV types which we have, you all know, I hope, will be the standard TPV with full inox on extract and on supply, and with polycarbonate covers with the lights above those, and with Prihoda PMI textile diffuser. The good thing with this Prihoda is that there are a lot of certificates which prove their, let's say, hygienic use. So this PMI can be even used for, I don't know, medications production or for clean rooms, basically. So this is also an advantage for our ceiling. So the second one is TPVN, fully stainless steel with Prihoda cover option, so you can have perforated stainless steel below it as, let's say, some decorative design. Or in case of, let's say, if the customer is skeptic, because Prihoda will not burn, but it will drop when expecting, let's say, a fire in the room. But in case of the stainless steel cover, the customer is, let's say, safe of any droppings and nothing will actually burn. And the TPVK, which is, let's say, the newest one, extract and supply are in stainless steel, but the covers are made of aluminum sheets, which are standardly colored in white RAL 9010. This RAL can be different with some, let's say, price increase, so you can mention that to the customer if they want it. But in the end, when you compare all of those three, let's say the standard TPV would be the most affordable, and I don't know how do you say it, but thankful in long-term operation. So basically, it's easier to clean polycarbonate. It's lighter for manipulation. You don't have to be afraid that you will damage it, because in case of stainless steel or aluminum sheets, you have to take care of that when you are, let's say, bringing them down, because any hit for stainless steel will be visible because it's polished, and any dot will be visible. So that's also, let's say, one point which you can take into consideration when talking to the customers. And the two of the later are, let's say, approximately 20-25% more expensive than the standard one. And of course, all of those three can be implemented in some form of large-scale hoods. So we will just go through this quick. The standard, let's say, structure of a TPV would be those B extract ducts, cover panels, so polycarbonate, stainless or aluminum, some form of, let's say, revisions on the pre-wall might be used in case of, let's say, hard to reach cables for the lights. So you would need some kind of revision on the side panels. You will be able to see later in one of the projects, we even put the revisions inside of the supply duct, because on the border of the kitchen there was a supply duct and there was no light after let's say, the supply duct. So we had to put one more additional line, let's say, somewhere. One more additional light along the supply duct between the wall, and then you cannot reach any of the cables, so we have to make some kind of revision. LED lights, in case of standard TPV, they are above the polycarbonate. In case of K and N, they are along the extract ducts and the main ducts above the ceiling, and some additions like UV filtration or fire suppression system. So the basic structure, I believe you all know about this photo. You can show it to the customers. There is a short presentation with more of those photos. So basically some standard scheme of, let's say, the simplest TPV ceiling, just so the customer can have, let's say, a small insight in the structure, because you receive drawing in 2D and it's hard, let's say, to perceive for the customer how it looks. So a good recommendation is to use as much as possible those let's say 3D schemes of the system. So of course separators can be lamellar or cyclonic, same as for the hoods. Supply, as we mentioned, can be with some additional covers, and this pre-wall is always, let's say, built with some small amount of tolerance, because when you measure the room, if you measure it before the tiling, let's say, and if you get the confirmation that the tiling will be 1 centimeter thick, in the end it can be 2 centimeters thick. So there is always some small tolerance of 1-2 centimeters plus minus, just to, let's say, adapt the construction to the room. This is the upper view, so you can offer our basic unit if possible, if the airflow will let's say allow you, if it will be not too big. But in the end, we had some let's say cases that one air handling unit is used for the main cooking center, and I don't know, one smaller unit is used for dishwashing area and convection ovens area, so you can always combine that. And the good point, let's say, with that is that the second one will not have to be maintained that often. So you can also mention that to the customer, to the designer, to put, I don't know, one unit for the main cooking center, which will be overloaded and which will have to be, let's say, more often checked and the filters replaced and cleaned in the end. And the other one can be used for, let's say, steam only. Yes, as for the control dampers, so those are a must on every ceiling. So you have to regulate somehow the airflow which will go through to the connection port. So let's say some basic project steps. I will open them all just to be visible. So the inquiry, you will want to receive actually a kitchen layout, drawings of ventilation system, of architecture of the building, with as much details as possible. So section views are a must. I don't know how it is with your market, but sometimes the architecture doesn't follow, let's say, the progress of ventilation drawing, and then you don't receive any section views. So you have to ask for additional details like windows height, room height, any, let's say, how do you call them? Beams. Yeah, beams. So the beam height, which is not visible in the floor plan. And it is really important, let's say, when taking into consideration of the proposal design. So I don't know, not to have any mistake in the proposal drawing and not to have too many questions from the customer in the end. So all of those mentioned will affect your calculation as well. So you will want to receive all the details from the kitchen appliances. Sometimes you can make, let's say, assumptions with the designer. So in cooperation with him, if you have a floor plan without any details about the power inputs of the appliances, you can propose, let's say, something and make a calculation based on that. If he is okay with that, if he confirms that it will be used, and later it can be changed in the, let's say, overall project progress. But let's say it's necessary to have some kind of assumption for the TPV design, because if you use, let's say, only those general assumptions that for the overall kitchen you will use, I don't know, 120 cubics per hour per square meter, or 90 cubics for the lower intensity of the room, it's not how to say, it's not good for the proposal, because you don't know where to put what, because you need to have exact positions to put, let's say, supply at the right place. We will just go through that in the later examples, but you will see why is it important. So as for the calculation, we will also go through that later, but it's important to have it as correct as possible, not to have many changes later in the project. As for the offer, so based on the first point, you will receive a proposal drawing from kitchen department, and upon that, upon any, let's say, wishes from the customer, or any special requirements of the room, I don't know, if there are 4, 6 of the columns in the room, it will have to increase the price, because it's not easy to make the construction around them, especially if they are round or some, I don't know, irregular shape. And you will have to clearly explain which features are included and which features are not included. So we do not include regulation dampers. We do not do, let's say, connection to the ducting to the ceiling, etc., etc. So what has to be prepared in the room, that all has to be clearly communicated. So the communication, we will have a separate presentation for that, but basically you would like to be clear as possible, and not, let's say, to overwhelm the customer with the details. So just take them into the project piece by piece, step by step, mention the most important parts at the beginning. Of course, it all depends individually on the project. And after all that, so communication will include the time plan and everything, and the measuring periods. After all that, you will have to make some kind of contract agreement with the customer, just to be sure that, let's say, the used technical specification is approved from them. So this approval documentation will also take part into the contract. As for approval documentation, so everything has to be ready according to the technical price offer, and that will be, let's say, confirmed by the customer. So also technical specifications and drawings provided from us will have to be approved, because there is no room for some kind of claim, let's say, later, because you don't know the customers, how they act. I mean, it can be even your partner, but in the end, if you didn't sign something in the contract, they might stab you in the back. As for installation, so you will want to have everything clear about, especially about the time plan. We will mention that later also, but it's going to be a bit hard, let's say, to have exact installation period. I mean, Virgil, you know that the best. I mean, I know that you should have had one ceiling in March, I believe, and then it was slowly postponed. Yeah, a never-ending story. So I hope it will be installed soon, but that's the case. I mean, you have to take into consideration our resources, actually our installers, the availability of them. So I don't know, summer is always full because of the schools, but you will want to have at least 4 to 6 months up front, some approximate, let's say, installation date. You can have some tolerance. I don't know, if the installation should take a week and a half, you will want to have 2-3 weeks, let's say, reserved on the site for the installation, just so you have more flexibility. So as for the drawings and calculations, which we mentioned, you will want to ask if you don't receive any section views. So you will want to ask what is the room height, some details like windows height, some passages, let's say, for food issuing. Those can be, I don't know, with fully open, or there can be some kind of window form for the food issuing. So the kitchen can be, let's say, closed after it's done with the work. So you want to have also all the details about that structure. So if it's some kind of larger door or window, it will have to have some kind of load-bearing structure above it. Similar to, I don't know, you can imagine the jewelry store, which has those, I don't know, rolletta, how do you call that? But here you put it down, you know, there has to be some kind of structure about it. Okay, and barrier walls, of course. So you see that there is a lot of smaller, thinner plasterboard walls. Sometimes those are built only 1 meter high, 1.5 meter high, just to have some separation between the kitchen appliances. Or there can be also 2 meters high to separate, let's say, dishwashing room from the main kitchen room. So you want to know what is their height, because of course, if it's going up to the full height to the concrete ceiling, then our guys will have to take it into consideration when designing the ceiling. And I don't know, anything else, basically any detail which is suspicious to you, you have to go through it with the designer, just to avoid any, let's say, communication delay, proposal drawing, iterations. So basically, as good as you prepare the first communication towards our kitchen department, you will receive one proposal and that's it. You can immediately communicate it to the designer, installer, customer, and it's gonna stay there in the project. There will be no more changes, let's say. So what you will also want to receive, this is, let's say, an ideal, perfect, let's say, example. You receive all the appliance lists. So every appliance has its own number. You will receive some kind of chart with electro power input, with gas power input, if it's like that. And this will ease your calculation a lot. So if you have a separate list of appliances, then if you don't have anything, and if it's only some kind of a mark from the designer with, I don't know, assumption of the kilowatts, so that's it. You will want to ask for this to ease your job. And also, let's say this is an example. If you don't have those number marks for the appliances, you will definitely want to add them in the drawing when communicated to our kitchen department, because it will make their work a lot easier, because our kitchen department is mostly constructed of designers, and there is some small, let's say, language barrier. So if the designer sees a number above the kitchen appliance, and if he sees that in the selection software, he will immediately know what it is. Then if he has to search for it on the drawing and lose the time. So as much as you prepare it, the guys will prepare it even better for you. Yeah. Okay, and one more point regarding the layout. Yes, please.
Slightly more details, like windows, beams, and so on and so on.
Yes.
The first inquiry, if they don't know that they will get this project,
okay,
ask all these details first.
Okay.
Or they say, okay, we know the costs, we know everything approximately, it seems good. Are you then asking, or in the beginning, providing information for production?
You will want to have it even from the beginning, because yeah, because of the exact costs and of the possibility of the ceiling installation. Because if you have, I don't know, some beam I don't know if it's how do you call that, concrete beam or even wooden beam, steel beam, you have to know its height, because there has to be room for the ceiling installation and for the duct passages. For the ducts, there might be, let's say, another solution to go from another, let's say, part of the room, but mostly that's not the case because the ducts are big and you have to consider it. So I would definitely recommend to ask as much as possible provided, yeah, because it's gonna affect the drawing. So just communicate it to the customer that we cannot, let's say, offer concrete proposal drawing and price offer without that. Yeah. So you can just mention it like that. You need to have it, because it might turn out that in the end it's not possible to install the ceiling, you see. So yeah, just ask as much as possible regardless of the project stage. Okay, so as for the calculation, this is basically the end of your suffering of the calculation. So we will go through the whole calculation later, but this total volume of exhausted air will provide you with a PDF which you can communicate directly to designer. Because when you print, let's say, a normal technical specification, you will not receive this detail of calculation. So you will want to export it to PDF like this and attach together with the overall technical specification. So yeah, this is proposal drawing after all of those details taken into consideration. So as you can see, on the left part, we have the main cooking kitchen. In the middle part, there is some dishwashing area, so you can see overlapping. If you can see, yeah, you can see it. You can see, let's say, a supply area which will cover the dishwashing area and also the main kitchen area. So you also have to take into consideration how to, I mean, our guys from the kitchen department will help you with this. But just so you know, to mention to the designer, there has to be room for the supply air somewhere. You cannot pack everything on the, I don't know, 80% of the room with extract and then have only supply, I don't know, 10 meters farther, because the supply air will not reach the far point of the room. So you have to spread it evenly, let's say, to have constant airflow to the whole room. And as you can see, the right part is some kind of hallway, so it's only used for supply air and for, let's say, passive area, which are the lights. Another point is that there was not much room for the supply area to the left side. Ideally, you would want the supply to be as some form of air curtain. So even outside of the kitchen room, as you can see the walls, firstly, the proposal was to have the supply air outside of the room, so there would be no leakage in the restaurant section.
Where is the dishwasher here?
The dishwasher is, I don't know if I can, well, just a second. I don't know how to use this pen. Okay, yeah, you can see it. Okay, so just a second, let me go. Whoop. Okay. So one dishwasher, I mean, we will go through this example later also, but one dishwasher is in this part. This is for black dishes, so all the stainless, let's say, elements of the kitchen. And another dishwashing area is, if I remember correctly, here. It should be here, yeah, or even here. We will see later. No, it's here. I'm sorry. These are preparation rooms, so there is no need for much extraction from the preparation room. I'm sorry. So one dishwasher is here and another is here. This is a part for the convection oven. This is the main cooking center, and this is the food issuing part. So ideally, the supply would be here to avoid any leakage in another room. And just one more point to mention. Yeah, this was the project where we separated the airflow onto units. So one unit was used only for the main cooking center because it's also with the UV filtration, and another unit was used for, let's say, lower demand rooms of dishwashing. And I don't know how this is just let's say an example, a template for let's say description text. Now it's also with some added points like TUV, certificate accordance. So when you communicate to the designers, I believe you have some kind of description of the overall project. And I don't know if they ask you for the description text like it is for the units, you have to have it. I don't know if you communicate in Excel or in Word or anything, but just put let's say some basic descriptions for a ceiling. We can share this if you would like, if you would need it, if it wasn't shared already. And you can just put some as I said, details about the certificates in it, because then it's going to be harder to replace from the competitor.
So you have some templates for that?
Yeah, I mean, I can share it. Why not? And as I said, just add basic points for the description and add some points which will protect you from the competitors, from the replacement. So as for the competitors, some main examples are Halton, which is, I believe, present in all countries, which is closed system and is packed with all possibilities.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So we have a situation, project in Carton, when they have some application, they have set cleaning system. Do you know something about it?
Set cleaning. Yeah. So the question about Halton, we replaced one ceiling which was Halton. Okay. Okay.
We are not in the project Carton, but in the future, I am going to touch it to know what is it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, unfortunately not. I mean, Halton is packed with the features. That's why it has 2 times the price compared to us, or even more. But this self-cleaning system is not possible on. Yeah, we could. I mean, there was a question about that, but as for the cleaning, as for, let's say, easier maintenance, standardly there are no drains on the TPV ceiling. It's made in level, no possibilities, let's say, to extract the grease. But you can, I mean, the only solution would be to have some kind of a valve on the ends of the extract duct, and that would ease up the cleaning. The self-cleaning one, I don't know. I saw a presentation once from Halton, and basically they have some kind of nozzles, I believe, from the upper part, and it is directed immediately to the grease filters, and then you have the drain which is going down. So I don't know. There are probably some kind of detergents, and yeah, I mean, you can imagine, because if you use nozzles, the water has to be soft. It has to be softened up. So you need to have some kind of a, let's say, preparation facility for this cleaning. I mean, similar to dishwasher. So I don't know how much it costs. I didn't see it. Yeah, could be, but I don't know how it works. But apparently it's proven good. Even this Marvel control system. I mean, we will speak about it a bit later. This is just briefly. So it's a closed system packed with steroids. Halton. GIF is an open system. We spoke about the differences, but GIF also has a lot of features which are, let's say, appropriate for larger kitchens. So they have something like more possibilities for cassettes on the ceiling, for dishwashing area, for show cooking area. So they have everything for every section of the kitchen. And the last one is Menergas und Luft. I mean, this is what is present on our market. But as you can see, this third one is basically the same as our TPVN. But however, they offer painted ceiling. So they they can provide you with the whole ceiling in some color. I don't know how they do it, but it's apparently a trend. So yeah. And I don't know if there are any others on your markets, anything more than these three. I'm not sure even on Europe. Let's say if there is any possibility to have a ventilation ceiling. So that's it for now.